Started out here, we're talking about when we first met, and it must be 5 years since we met
Yeah.
at a agile coaching training with Lisa Atkins.
Yeah.
So that has been, and still a lot of us meet occasionally. So that has been a pretty good journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So again, welcome everyone. And with that, I will hand over to you, Joanne.
Thank you, Torsten. So guys, thank you to AgilityLab, Torsten and Liza. It's just wonderful to be here as part of this, and it's an amazing platform for us to be able to share to the community some of the ideas and things which are happening. And I'm excited to share with you guys today what it is about becoming a wicked leader and what that means. I'm going to share a bit about me. I'm not going to share about what my title is, but the things that I actually do. So I create great teams, teams that make a difference and where team members feel like they belong. I also do something whereas I like to close gaps and I like to create hope. And so, so some of the things that I've been doing around that particular space. So in the last 5 years, actually, just after Torsten, we were actually doing our expert agile course. I started a meetup group in Toronto, and it's been a meetup group that's been going on for 5 years right now. And I created it to actually help with a gap. And that was a gap of new people who just started within agility. They're newly certified people that didn't really have experience, people that, just started, they didn't know how to land that first job. So I brought together people who could be mentors of these new people together so that we could start these people on their journey and create this community of knowledge sharing so we can reduce that gap. We've had over 500 people that have gone through that mentorship program, and it's still kept virtual even after everything that's actually happened, which has just been wonderful. So, and the other thing that I get called in to do a lot is I get called in to help out with transformation. So a lot of things I do recently is I get called in to do business agility transformations or help with coaching agile teams. And recently I've been brought in a couple of times to actually help out teams which are struggling or having problems. So I'll come in and I'll mediate discussions, or help them work through the conflict that they actually have. So those are things that I've been doing lately, and I'm going to share with you just some of the other stuff so that you guys, and hopefully you guys can see my screen. Okay, it's coming up here. I'm going to share this one. And so basically, let me get this going here so you guys can have it. So, so what I am is I am a transformation coach, a leadership coach, an agile coach, and a community creator, and a proud mother of 4 daughters and a dog named Link. So you can see my big dog. He's actually got a bigger mane of hair right now, but he is I just love him so dearly. So that's about me. And those are the roles that I actually I have done. But I've been in the technology area for over 30 years, and I've worked with lots and lots of different teams. And I've gained a lot of experience as I've actually gone through those particular spaces. But I want to talk to you about my vision, and one of the things I wanted to share with this particular community, and I have been sharing with other communities, and it starts off with 2 words, and the 2 words are called wicked agility. So what I am trying to do here is there's a lot of people who are here, and a lot of people who've been in the agile space. And so one of the things and this is actually another gap that I'm trying to connect and close. And so in the agility space, you guys have been familiar with creating great teams, fantastic teams, teams that do make a difference, that you've seen kind of like that the empowerment, all the stuff through agility that you guys have been working with them, that they've been able to create amazing things. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring this world of agility and these amazing teams together to work with what's called a wicked problem. And you guys may not know what a wicked problem is, but I'm going to define what a wicked problem is so you guys understand the wicked problem. But a wicked problem is a multifaceted, multidimensional problem. And basically it has multiple stakeholders, multiple causes, multiple symptoms, and multiple solutions, and is constantly evolving. It can span across organizations and countries and can only be solved by teams. And dare I say, it's not just a team, it's a diverse team. You need to have diverse thinkers, out of the box thinkers of different places everywhere. And it can take years and sometimes lifetimes to actually do. So examples of it are climate change, COVID, equality, racism, diversity, inclusion, and poverty. So the one thing that I know within our community, that we have this great way of actually creating these amazing teams and these amazing organizations. And what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to bridge this gap and make a bridge so that these communities can come together. I have been involved in actually interviewing quite a few people in the wicked problem space. And I've been working in creating a community which is around wicked agility to help kind of bridge that particular gap. And so this is so when I start coming into the space I'm in here for today, and this is where this stuff is born from, is, we need to have more wicked leaders, more wicked teams, and we need to figure out how to chip away at the problem. And dare I say, that a lot of people within the space that we're in know how to do quite a few of these things. And so what I'm trying to do right now is trying to actually help people and be able to give them some of the tools and techniques that I've been able to do to be able to help create more wicked leaders and more wicked teams. So that's basically just the beginning of me and my vision and around wicked problems itself. So let's talk about a wicked leader. So if we were to sit there and define a wicked leader, I would sit there and say a wicked leader skillfully navigates through ambiguity. They learn their skills through failures and successes while braving a storm. And they're visionary. They learn by doing. They have very strong beliefs. They are brave. They're compassionate, empathetic, knowledgeable, inspirational. They are committed. They harness the power of the teams. And they also, and I can't see the bottom of this because I can't see the screen, and they are grounded. And there is ... probably a lot more that you can actually add to this. Okay. But what I like to do right now is actually share with you a video of who I consider a person, and you guys may be aware of him or not, but his name is Jose Andres, and he's written a book, and I actually have it here. It's called We Fed an Island. It's a great book. I would actually highly suggest reading it. But Jose Andres is a Michelin chef from the United States. I think he is in the Chicago area, and he's set up a company which is called a charitable organization, which is called World Central Kitchen, which actually goes in after disasters have taken place. They'll go in and they'll help serve the people of the disasters food. It's a great charity. I've done some things with that charity to donate money to, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But what I really want you guys to really look at is you're going to listen to this video, and I want you to start to look at this video and look at the qualities that Jose Andres has. Okay. Just see what he does with his people and everything like that. And then we're going to do a bit of breakout room and then debrief afterwards to talk about that. So you guys get a feeling for what I mean is a wicked leader. So I'm going to start this video. And hopefully you guys
in life you have to be fearless, and the urgency of now is mandatory, especially when you're talking about feeding people. People are not hungry a week, a month from now. People are hungry today.
Many people know Jose Andres as a celebrated world-class chef and entrepreneur. But behind the television appearances and the Michelin stars is an activist. Jose founded World Central Kitchen to bring smart solutions to hunger and to poverty, especially in times of crisis.
Through all of his work, Jose passionately takes forward a belief that food can be an agent of change, and he's inspiring others to join him in the process.
World Central Kitchen came from the need of bringing smart food solutions. Happened after the earthquake in Haiti, 2010. A few weeks after I was there, I began cooking with clean cook stoves. It's a very big problem, especially in Haiti, but that's a world problem where people, especially women, cook with charcoal. And that was the idea.
Jose and his nonprofit fearlessly jump in to work with communities here in the United States and around the world. And they've distinguished themselves as an effective disaster relief organization. You might call them first food responders.
At the end is what it takes. Instead of be thinking of doing something, just go out and start doing it. Sometimes you don't need to plan. You only have to start walking.
The work was never more urgent than when Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico. Jose reached beyond his bubble, calling upon fellow chefs, companies, and volunteers from all walks to join him. The goal was simple: to get on the ground quickly and provide food for as many people as possible.
We went from one kitchen and 1,000 meals the first day to more than 23 kitchens with one day reaching 175,000 meals in a day. This day, we are in the north of 3.5 million meals served. You see, if you want, you can adapt. If you want, you can achieve anything. What we tried to do was not thinking like we were going to feed the island, but can every day double up what we did the day before.
But more than emergency relief and recovery, the organization works with communities after the disaster to provide long-term sustainability and solutions. It's their commitment of service, knowing that their work is most effective when they empower others.
Be fearless, yes, it's a challenge, but it's worth just risking it. I did it many times in my life and has always paid off. I will always tell everybody, be fearless, because you're gonna change the life of others, but in the process, you're gonna change your own life. And then nothing is gonna stop you.
We hope that Jose's story and the fearless work of the World Central Kitchen team inspires you to act on the urgency of now and to be fearless.
Okay, so I think you get my drift. So he actually, just every single time I see this video, I see new things which actually come out from this. And so what I want to do right now is have you guys go into breakout rooms right now. I want you guys to reflect on the video that you just saw and start to discuss, like, what are the qualities that you're seeing that was there that Jose actually did? So what were some of the qualities of him as a wicked leader, in my mind, who is working with a wicked problem, was doing? So I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to actually more than 5. It's 1:17 right now. Oh, we're early. So Torsten, are you okay with breakout rooms? Or you're on mute? He's actually setting up breakout rooms.
I'm setting. Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah,
I'm setting up. How long time do you want in the breakout room?
I think if we can do 8 minutes, I think that would be really good. Yeah. And so basically, if you guys can, like, again, so we're going to have a breakout rooms of 3 people. If you guys don't want to go into the breakout room, that's okay. It's up to you guys. If you want to stay out here, that's fine as well. But you can go in there for about 8 minutes, and there's going to be 2 to 3 of you guys. And I just want you again to share and look when you saw what he was doing, what were some of the qualities of a wicked leader that you saw? And then we'll come back and we'll do a debrief. Okay.
Any questions before I open the rooms?
Torsten, do you want to know who don't want to go to breakouts?
I think I'll just put it, since we didn't get that prepared, so I put everyone in rooms. So if you, I hope you're willing to take part in the session. If not, then just come back here when you've moved into the rooms, and then I'll see if I can set it up.
Gustavo cannot join the breakout rooms. He just said.
Oh.
It's just because you're only 3 persons. If one person just leaves right away, it's not so awesome. But
so I.
It's up to you.
Open the rooms, and I think we have everybody there. Let's see what happens. I'll monitor the rooms and see if we get everybody out. If there's at least 2 in every room.
That's good. Yeah.
It looks like we have at least 2. Oh, yeah.
That's great.
And Gustavo, you are still here, I believe. Yeah.
What about Edmund? Have you sent him out or beamed him out?
He is, but he's not joining. Looks like so.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's cool. Okay.
Oh, I see some are already coming back.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Just waiting for a few more, 30 more seconds.
Yeah, we have 25 seconds, and then everybody will be back here.
Automatically comes back. Okay, cool. Yeah, quite a few people are back already.
We're missing 1 room, so.
Cool. So for the folks that are here, like, what were some of the things that you actually saw in terms of what other qualities did you see of a wicked leader? Or is there other things that you thought was there that was missing? Christian.
Yes, hello.
Hi
hello. We talked a bit about it. One of the things that really was showing was his passion for what he was doing. Clearly, he started this himself, but actually, a wicked leader does definitely need to be passionate about what he's doing, and or him or her. And that was clearly shown from this guy. So that was just one of the things that we had in our group. There was other things mentioned. Also, the fact that he didn't bake too big of a bread initially. He started out small, and then he actually, as he found out that he got momentum, then he actually upscaled. So did some iterations on that regard. So that was also one of the things.
Yeah, it was really cool when he started. When he actually went, he had 2 days. He went there with like, he decided to go. 2 days later, he's there, and he only went there with $15,000 or something like that in his pocket. And he had no clue how he was going to get the rest of the money to actually food the rest of the stuff. And it was just incredible. Yeah. So he did small little steps. He learned while he went. He talked to the people who were impacted, and he learned from them. It was just beautiful. You got it. And very passionate. He knew his why.
Yeah. Definitely. The last point that we also had was in our group was that he also basically just said, well, there could probably be a lot of problems, but we're just going to do it. And then he basically just went head first into it and just started doing it. And that's definitely also a quality for a wicked leader. That was the main point. If anyone from my group wants to add, then they can do it. I think that was the summarization of what we talked about.
Okay, great. Thanks, Christian. What else is coming for other people? Is there anything same or different?
I think it was one of the points we have noticed. He was not afraid of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And because he was so passionate, as Christian mentioned, maybe it was his passion behind him. He was not afraid of failure, and he was ready to do it at any scale. I mean, if he can get many people convinced with his idea, he'll make it bigger. But if not, he was even up to that level that he will do alone whatever he could do. So that was one of the great quality leader perspective, that if you're very much sure about what you're going to do is the one thing which you really want to get it done, then you're not afraid of failure. You just want to do it. And he said it in his video that sometimes you don't need to plan things. You just want to get it done. So he started working rather than planning, because he was so much sure that this is needed to be done. So I think that was also a good quality aspect.
Yeah, I love that. I think I feel he knew that through failure, that's where he learns, right? That's where he grew. I think he said that in the video as well, which is great. I must say that I'm sure he probably feels it. I think he probably feels scared, because I don't think as a human you cannot turn that feeling off. But I'm sure he was scared, but I think you're right. Like in terms of his passion pulled him, right? It's like, yep, you're scared, you're on the edge, but you're still gonna go for it because it's worth it to move. Thank you. Thanks. Anyone different or the same?
I think that we can build on what was said about passion and learning by failure, but also the fact that he was doing things himself. He was not just sitting in the office and inspiring people from there. He'd been in the fields and actually led people just by doing stuff.
Yeah, it's actually pretty, there's two types of leaders there. One, it's called like a transformational leader who can bring a group together. And also another type of leader, which is like a transactional leader or knowledgeable leader, a person who can roll up his sleeves and actually do, right? So he was able to do both. He might not have been able to figure out how to do it in the island or work it in the island, but he's willing to try it out. But he knew how to do some of this stuff. So yes, he wasn't just up in the tower trying to figure out and tell people or whatever. He was with them doing it together. Beautiful. Thank you. Anything else, same or different? One last thing.
Well, I also like the fact that he mentioned people are hungry now. We can make plans to build kitchens everywhere and deliver the food in 4 weeks. We need to deliver now. So we start small and we just do it, and we'll figure it out how it goes. But at least the people, the 1,000 people, the first day, they got food.
Yeah.
Instead of having food in 4 weeks. So that's also really nice.
Yeah, he learned by doing. The one thing I really liked about that too, and when you look at it, he set goals, right? Like he doesn't know if that was a reachable goal or not, but he said, you know what, I'm going to do this on the first day. And the next day I'm going to double what I did the other day. Like he had a vision to feed the island. That's what he wanted to do, but he was going to do it in bite-sized chunks. And he was going to do it in like one chunk at a time, right? Which was just, I'm going to, and with this goal of, I'm going to feed double the amount that I did yesterday. Beautiful. I love it. Great. Thank you. So the one thing I wanted to talk to you next is that I'm going to share my screen again so I can show you guys this, that there is something about the size and the quality of the problem designs us and grows us. And I feel that this may be kind of for some people, it's kind of missed. People think that we need to do the process first and we need to start or whatever the case may be. But it's actually in solving that particular problem or that thing, and that quality of that particular problem is what actually helps us grow into a better person. So we don't have to actually, or a better team or a better organization. We don't necessarily have to be, going against a wicked problem, but it could be a gnarly problem that we actually have that we're up against and in front of. So the couple examples, I want to give you a couple examples, but I want to get you into breakout rooms after this, after we talk about this, but I want to give you a couple examples first. So the very first example I want to give you is, if you guys are aware of Apollo 13, and this is where Houston, I got a problem came from. So Apollo 13 was, I think, around 220,000 kilometers or miles away from Earth when all the systems kind of shut down. And so what had happened was, on Earth, there was a diverse group of people who kind of came together to actually solve the problem of trying to figure out how to get these astronauts and the ship back to Earth safely where they survived. So this amazing team was formed, and within 2 days, they actually figured out how to bring that ship down. So they didn't start off with, I've got to do this process of Kanban or Scrum. They didn't do any of that, right? They just like, okay, I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. You guys have all these different skills, and they brought them together, right? So there were certain qualities of that problem. When you looked at that specific problem, right, there were certain qualities that actually kind of helped that group come together, right? One was, you know, that there is this sort of heroic kind of effort, or this thing that they needed to do, which was bringing these astronauts down. There was another thing is that these guys knew that they were associated with this problem because they knew that they could provide value to that problem. Like they knew that something that they could do, they could come up with something. They may not know how to solve the whole problem themselves, but they knew that they could actually, they relate to it, and they can actually kind of give into that problem that was there, right? So the other thing that was a quality of the problem was that it was super complex. It was never done before, right? So there is this aspect of the complexity. This is a gnarly problem that we need to actually engage in and solve. So what happened is they did this thing, they got it down, but they grew. I'm sure they grew as individuals, and I'm not really quite sure how they grew as an individual. But how NASA grew was that they actually created a new innovation process, something that actually took 2 days, which would have taken normally 6 months to do. And it was an innovation process, and then they brought into Apollo afterwards. So they wouldn't have figured out this innovation process unless they actually went through this particular problem. So the problems that we go through and the quality of the problem and the size of the problem really designs us. So I want to go through a personal story, right? So as a person, for me personally, a gnarly complex or a problem that I was experiencing was an unhappy marriage. My problem was I wanted to have a happy marriage. And so I was struggling with that. I was trying to figure out exactly how I could figure out how to make a better marriage. I spent 10 years kind of circling through my head as to how I could actually do that. And I was struggling with it. I actually had to get other people to help me figure out how to do that. I was scared. I was really scared because there's certain values that I had in terms of family, in terms of, you know, being together, death do us part type of thing, and all those different values that, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Connections was really important to me. I was really connected to that particular problem. But there's an aspect of it, like in the end, it didn't work out. And that's okay. The stories, it works or it doesn't work out. But there's an aspect where I grew, right? And I grew because I understood who I was, what I stood for, and what type of impact I wanted to make in this world. It actually helped me figure out who I was and what I was about. So that particular problem designed me, it grew me, right? But there's certain qualities of that, right? That problem to me was, it was aligned. There's all these things that was aligned to my values and who I was. Sorry, I thought I heard someone. There's another quality of it where it was pretty scary, right? So there was some fear that was there. There were some challenges which were there. And the other thing is that it was just like Apollo, very complex, and that there's multiple people involved, right? So there are certain qualities of this problem for me that helped me with all those factors that helped me grow. So what I want to do right now is I want to actually give you guys some time to go into breakout rooms. You're going to go back into the same breakout rooms that you were in before. But I want you to think of a time where you actually work with a problem, something that was really complex, something that was gnarly. Could be at work, could be personal, could be anywhere, right? But I want you to think about that specific time. And I want you to discuss in your group the context of that problem. So what the problem was about, But then and how you grew. So this is the problem that happened, and this is what the growth that happened. And then I want you guys to explore together, what was the quality of the problem that made you grow? What was it about that helped you grow and learn, right? So so I want you guys to go back into breakout rooms. So I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms for 15 minutes to explore that question. So you guys will have at least 4 minutes or so to talk with each other about that specific problem. So again,
another minute. Uh-oh.
That's good, because that one group of 4 minutes each.
Yeah.
And Michael's here. And Svetlana and Anna.
Welcome back.
Yeah, hey. Is this a group that comes back as soon as the breakout says come back, they come back? Or is it like, I don't know if that's a cultural thing or not. Like some people stay. And like, cause I've been in meetups where people are like, all of a sudden I feel like I'm late to the party because everybody's already got out of the breakout room. But for where I've been, I've always just like keep staying in the breakout room. So I'm always curious about that. Or there was more than ample time to do what you need to do.
I don't know if it's at the same time you get this pop-up message in all the rooms.
Yeah,
so.
Interesting. It's so cool.
Oh, and now, I mean, wow, that minute went fast.
That went really fast.
Yes, it did. So
like
we have everybody back now.
It was like a venting moment.
So guys, so I really want to know, like, what came up for you guys? Like, what was the growth? What was the quality that you found of the problem that helped you grow? What was it? What came up for you? Anybody want to share?
I can start.
Yeah,
if that's okay with my group mates. So what we discussed that actually it depends also on what growth you aim in. So if you want to grow in something new, then the problem should be new as well. You need to step out from the comfort zone. You need to meet the circumstances that you've never been before. You need to work alone if you get used to work with the support of the team and so forth. But also on the other hand, if you want to grow in terms of efficiency, then probably the same task is also okay, but then you need to improve constantly what you are doing and not just being frozen with the same approach that you used before. So it depends also on the dimension that you want to grow in.
Yeah. So and it sounds like there's something about that, the efficiency, or what was the other example? The efficiency, what was the first one you said?
Well, efficiency, and then the growing in terms of the new skills.
Grow in terms of new skills. Yeah. So those are they can be very much aligned to who you are, right? That I just want to continuously grow, right? So the problem has to have a quality that, you know, allow you to grow. And it's actually a beautiful example, because I would sit there and say, one of the things that for me, in order to engage in a new company, I need to have a company that's willing to allow me to play and experiment. And if they don't, right, I can't grow, I can't learn, I can't create, right? So the problem, you know, the problems that I'm looking for, the environments that I'm looking for has to align with who I am, right? So that I can grow. So that's a wonderful example. Thank you. What else is there anything different than that? Has anybody experienced a problem such that where they felt that they've grown? Yeah. Like a problem that they've experienced where all of a sudden they, you know, they felt like they grew much bigger than they were before. I would assume that most people have, or like it can be good or bad, right? So either I failed in it or I excelled in it. But most people have experienced something of that shape and form. Is there anything else that needs to be shared or said?
Maybe just one thing that I was in the same group with Svetlana. When we were thinking about the problem, we actually called it opportunity or challenge. So it's more of a positive thing that you can actually look at in different ways how you're going to tackle, play with, because maybe it's a puzzle and you know at the end it's going to be a beautiful picture. You just don't see it yet and you have to kind of get your mind around that. So just approaching things in a different way, changing your mindset from the early beginning, that is already the first step for growth.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that, and actually we were actually talking about while you guys are on break, and I don't know if you guys have heard this a lot of times, but sometimes we get from as an Agilist going into some of these places, we're told that we need to adopt Agile. We need to do this transformation, right? The one thing that I always do when I'm in those situations is I'm always trying to clarify the why. It's not about Agile. It's actually about what Agile is trying to get for that particular company. And so it's really important to kind of clarify the whys of why we're doing this, right? Because understanding the whys will allow us to really ensure that we're hitting the right problem. We've got that there's a quality of understanding that problem. So when we get into that why, we understand the quality of it. We understand what it's all about. We understand if it's not a problem or it's an opportunity, like Anna just talked about, opportunity or problem, either way is a great way of kind of saying it. We need to understand that why in order to kind of figure out if we are solving it or if we're not, right? So it's always good to kind of be able to discover that. So what I wanted to share with you guys is an acronym that I like to use, which from a, and I'm gonna hopefully, oh, sorry, I have to get back into the video to share. I'm going to share with you an acronym, which is a WICKED acronym. And the WICKED acronym, and if you have a pen and paper, if you want to write this down, this is the acronym that I use. So WICKED stands for, the first one is W. So as a leader, if I want to make this WICKED impact, or as a team, I want to make this WICKED impact, I have to understand what is the W, right? The W is why. So why am I doing this? What's in it? Like, what's in it for me? Why is that? How aligns to who I am as a person? Or even the why could be, who am I as a person? So understanding our why is really important. The next one is I, which is inspire. So if that particular problem, and tell me, you guys probably know this really well, but there's some leaders that are out there which are so inspirational. And the reason why they're so inspirational is that the problem itself is inspiring for them. So when they are inspired about the problem, or they feel connected to that problem because it's the value, it's that space where I can create and I can learn, or it's where I can grow, and I'm so inspired and excited and passionate about it. When I'm like that, it also inspires others, right? So we have to be able to be inspired about the problem, and through that inspiration, we can inspire others. There's also another aspect of inspire, which is basically we need to understand how to inspire other people. And as a leader, it can be really challenging to figure out what inspires other people. And sometimes that has to do with what values that they have, like where they feel that they can actually give value into the project or the problem or the opportunity there. So I stands for inspire. C is commit. Commit. We have to commit to actually to this practice of getting better, to figure out through failures and successes how we can become more impactful, or how can we become more of this wicked leader. So there is this aspect that we have to commit to this practice to learn, to continue to keep learning, and to continue to keep growing. We have to commit to that particular vision or that particular problem or opportunity that we're looking at solving. K stands for knowledge. So there's this thirst for knowledge this a wicked leader would have. It's this knowledge of actually learning, and like this knowledge of knowing that there's another way of potentially doing this. There's the internal trend that I was talking about earlier, this transactional leader that has knowledge how best to kind of do this. So as us as Agilists, we may know different forms, these different practices for actually doing things to make it better. We are grounded in knowledge, but there's this thirst of always learning. There's this learning forward and learning how to actually solve this problem or chip away at this problem so that we can learn. So there's this thing of always this knowledge is happening. And the last one is D, and D stands for deliver or doing. They learn by doing, just like in the video that Jose has, right? And in a lot of the stuff that I've done and what our teams have done, they do it not by planning out. They don't put a huge plan out. They go on the ground. They actually learn by doing, by delivering. There's a lot of times that us as Agilists and as leaders in this particular space, sometimes what we'll do is, you know, want to set up a team with tons of training, and maybe, you know, sometimes what some organizations do is they'll set up things, for example, months of trying to get the experiments or the things right before the team actually gets going. One of the practices that I have, for example, is I put people into 1 week sprints almost right away. I give them very little training and I go into 1 week sprints so they can figure out how to work together by delivering. So the more that they deliver, the more they reflect, the more that they can continue to keep improving, the more they can get that out of the way so that they can solve and chip away at that problem that they're doing. But this is the acronym that I like to use. So what I want you guys to do is actually put into the chat right now, which of those letters stick out for you? So which ones of these, the W, I, C, and K, D, which ones are you sort of more attracted to than the others? The W and the I, W, the I and the D, inspire. D is commit. The I and the D, the W and the C. Yeah, W is missed most of the time. I love it. The W and the D. Yeah. Yeah. And just like, and if there's something else that, you know, is there anything anyone wants to share about that? Like, what is it that really those letters resonate with you? Is it one letter more? Or is it you really believe in that? What is that that's there that about that letter for you? Anybody want to share?
I don't know if you noticed it, but before you asked the question, and people started putting stuff in the chat, there was some quite interesting suggestions for, well, why is the E missing? So the E could be E for engagement, and E for empowerment, and E for empowerment, and so forth. I really like that. I'm just getting curious about why don't you have the E, but maybe we can get back to that.
I think I can bring back the E. But there's actually there's something really interesting about engagement, for example, and commitment. There's a distinction between the two. I think commitment, it has this whole aspect of actually getting in there and actually committed to wanting to do this thing. Whereas engagement seems a little bit passive, but commitment means it's like I'm in there doing it. But I do like the E. So maybe I need to bring the E back for empowerment or another acronym, but I really appreciate that. Thank you, Lise. Okay. So the last thing I wanted to kind of share with you guys is something else. So I know that being this wicked leader can, you know, we'll have our ups and downs, and you guys are probably experiencing it right now. Like, it's always really challenging to be on your game all the time, or you know, if there is something where, like, I know for me yesterday, it was incredibly I was really extremely busy. Things were happening. My head wasn't really focused in the game. And sometimes, you know, it's just, you just don't feel like you want to lug it through anymore, or you just get really upset that whatever I did wasn't as good as I could have done. So I have that should have, blame and shame stuff going through my head, right? And so what I wanted to show you guys is a tool that you guys could actually use so you can feel what it's like when you're above a line or below a line. And I say that when you're above a line, when you stand into who you are, this is where you can be more impactful. And below the line is a place where you sort of shut down and you're not as impactful. And so I wanted to kind of show you this video to kind of understand and feel and sense into what that is to be above and below the line. And it's okay, people go above and below the line all the time, but we're going to go through that video and then we can kind of do a deep dive afterwards. So I'm going to, oops, sorry, meant to share. Ta-da! I'll go back into sharing. And I'll go to my next. Above or below the line. Here we are. Tell me if you can't hear it. Or if you
location.
Can you hear it?
Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Animation by Graham Franks. www.grahamfranks.com. One question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool, a line, a simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question. We are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
All right. So what I'd really love for you guys to do, and I'm just looking at the time, making sure I have the time to do this, but what I think would be really great is if you guys could go back into your breakout rooms and just talk about this above the line and below the line. And when we talk about being a wicked leader, how can this help with being that wicked leader, knowing when you're above the line or below the line? So if you could go, we're going to go back in, you're going to have maybe about 6 minutes to kind of, 6 minutes, I think is just about right, just to have a discussion amongst your group. And then we'll come back and we'll do a debrief and share.
8 seconds.
So I don't know, let's do that.
Lizzie, you are awesome on keeping this running. I would miss it.
You know what, Torsten, it has become so easy for me now, because when you call people back, I see a list of the breakout rooms in progress, and somehow my brain's got programmed to, hey, whenever I see that, hey, I'll start recording. So it's really not really me. It's some kind of trigger
it's
in
your
my
brain.
It's my brains. I don't know how it got programmed like that, but just happened.
That's funny.
Oh, we're still with this one. Hi.
You're all back. Great. So what came up for you in terms of wicked leadership and above the line and below the line? What are some of the thoughts? Yeah, Christian.
Well, one of the things we talked about is, for instance, if you have a process where you want to spark creativity and maybe want to manipulate is maybe the wrong word. You want to push people above the line, then having try to introduce play, make people smile, some sort of fun icebreaker, just make the environment relaxed and nice and have people laughing. That is actually a way to maybe, especially if you can get everyone on board with this, that may be a way to push people above the line. If that's because you need people above the line in order to actually spark creativity of whatever it is that you are doing, where you need people to be creative, and also find out that it's to get people talking and actually doing, contributing way more in this way. But we also just touched that. I mean, everyone is above and below and sometimes on the line all the time and in different situations, and that's also the way of it.
That's really cool. I love how you're going towards where I love it's just like, what do we need to be as leaders, even ourselves, to kind of stay above the line and below the line? But you naturally went towards another place, which was like, how can I help my teams be above or below the line? And it's just great. And so creating space for them, humor, like getting them to do creative things will get them above the line, but it's recognizing our teams can go above the line and below the line, and we can go above the line and below the line too, which is just brilliant. So it's cool that you actually picked that up. I like the fact you started to talk about. Anyone else have anything the same or different?
We briefly discussed about self-awareness when you're below the line, and it's the self-awareness is also something you should understand, that this all adds up and it's interlinked. If you are below the line, you should be comfortable in that situation, and it's a matter of self-awareness that I am like that in this situation and below the line, and it doesn't define you as a person, but it's it's a phase, and you don't have to be hard on yourself and things like that. That we discussed. Self-awareness is something think of in this below the line or above the line toggling.
Well, and I love it. And I love the fact that the self-awareness is indeed the things where we want to go to. And it's not wrong. It's just, you can go above the line, you can go below the line. It's just recognizing that happens. The one thing I know that's really important is the practice. So what is the practice that helps you get above the line, right? So is it recognizing in the moment, oh shit, I'm below the line? Or, is it recognizing that? Or is it doing things, which is like we were talking about earlier, is it like things like journaling or meditating or, or walking in nature or taking a breath or, playing with your kids or
joining a meetup event.
Yeah, exactly. So anything to learn or anything which may be able to kind of switch you out of like maybe this mode that's not so great into this bigger mode, right? Which is wonderful. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had came to think of something. The way I interpreted the last slide in that video or diagram, whatever, is I interpreted like those two persons should talk about where am I. Maybe I misunderstood, but can you put a few words on that? How would we typically do that? A good way of communicating, sharing that with each other.
Yeah, so I think the whole thing is what you can do, like I've used this in Teams and stuff like that before, is where you can share this video and then you can talk as a team to kind of ask each other, well, how can we become more above the line? Like, what is it that we need to create in our environment that allow us to do that? There is also sort of like in the moment, you could also say, where are we guys? Are we below the line or above the line? And what do we need to do to go above the line, right? Or maybe we just need to stay below the line just to figure out why we're below the line. But it's like, it's recognizing where we're at so that we can figure out where we need to change. So, and you can do that through discussions, through other people. It's just being aware that there's this line that you can draw. So yourself, a partner, a team, an organization, you can utilize it in any of those spaces. Yeah, it's a great way of utilizing that tool.
Okay, thanks a lot. Great.
You're welcome. So I thank you all hugely for actually allowing me to play in AgilityLab with this particular session today about becoming a Wicked leader. And what I wanted to do was invite you, if you guys want and are interested in this community about Wicked Agility, the things that I'm trying to build so I can bring these two communities together and I can start helping out with that gap, or you want to understand a little bit more about Wicked leadership or, you know, engaging or creating Wicked teams and all that, then, you know, I'm going to actually put into the link a link to my mailing list if you want to get into, or if you just want to put your email in the chat, and then we'll save the chat, and then I can actually email you with whatever information that's there. So again, I really appreciate all your time, and I know it's late or later in Denmark, and so I thank you very much for allowing me to have the space to be with you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Joanne, for joining us here and talking about being a Wicked leader. I think there's been a lot of good stuff here tonight, so thank you very much for that. And thank you, Liza, for helping with the facilitation here and remembering to turn on and off video or recording along the way. And thank you to the rest of you for taking part in this. I just want to share again in the chat, we have a little simple feedback.